Hello everyone, I'm Khanyi and I'm the founder of Seize the Light. If you haven't come across a video from me, welcome to my channel. Everyone has been talking about mental health this week, so I just thought that I should come on and make a video about what exactly mental health is. So I think I will make a precursor to this video and say that mental health is very subjective. I think that each person has their own interpretation as to what exactly mental health is. And I think for reasons that I'll explain in this video, it will be obvious why we cannot come to one universal definition for mental health. I think that as we go along, there will be more clarity when it comes to the concept of mental health. But I think for as long as we haven't gotten to a universal definition or interpretation of what exactly mental health is and what its triggers may or may not be, we need to just be kind to everybody. Anyone who feels that their mental health has been negatively impacted or that they're in distress, it's really not for us to judge anybody's experience. All we can really do is just be kind to anybody that we meet, because the face of mental health is actually not somebody who's sitting in a corner depressed. People who are actually not mentally well can be the people who are the happiest people in the room. So this is why, in some organizations, they've even gone as far as to have mental health first aiders within that organization, so that people can actually pick up and see signs of people who may be mentally distressed but may not be able to speak up. And we must also understand that people aren't going to be inclined to speak about these issues because of the negative stigma that is attached to mental health. So mental health to me is quite an interesting concept, and I think there's a reason why it's quite ambiguous, is because there's still lots of room for mental health to be researched. And I think that the doctors have tried to apply the science in understanding mental health, but they haven't been able to conclude what exactly are the triggers when it comes to mental health. There has seemed to be some sort of a shift and an acceptance towards more of a pseudoscientific explanation when it comes to mental health. And that I'll unpack in videos that are later to come, where we talk about the energy system of the body. So if I'm going to make a basic example, because we'll do breath work at the end of this video, your mind is quite a powerful tool. Right now, you're breathing unconsciously. You're not having to put much thought into it. Your body is just getting on with it, right? But when we engage in techniques such as breath work, ultimately what you're doing is telling your brain to override your breathing system and to make you breathe how you want to breathe. I think it's a very powerful thing that the mind has the ability to actually tell the body what to do. And I think that we need to acknowledge and recognize the power of the mind. Sadhguru has actually said that, most of the mental health issues that are arising are self-induced, because it basically comes down to our own internal dialogue with ourselves. I'm not here to conclude whether he's right or wrong about that, but I think there does need to be some sort of acknowledgement that these things are dealt with at a psychological level and they go down to self. Um, if we think about it, we would have, by the age of 7, we would have all gone to school to pursue some sort of academic qualification. There's systems, there's curricula, there's teachers. There are so many things in place to develop our academic intellect, right? But if we look at our mental and emotional intellect, or even awareness, I really can't think of any system in society that has been constructed to actually develop that. There's a lot of, I don't want to call it a burden, but the emphasis is actually placed on the individual to grow themselves mentally and emotionally, which, I mean, that is sort of leaving people to their own devices, right? When we think about organizations, you're basically grouping people together under the assumption that people actually have worked on their mental and emotional intellect, and that they do understand themselves, and that's how they're able to interact with other people in an appropriate manner, right? But that's quite a detrimental assumption to make, because how exactly do people work on mental and emotional intellect if we don't have the same curricular outcomes, uh, measurements that we do when we measure intellectual capacity? So I think this is why there's this open, interpretation about mental health. It's because people haven't really stepped back to understand there's a whole lot of support, there's a whole lot of structures that society, the world, the system has put into place when it comes to academics and achievements. But when it actually comes to the softer side and the softer skills, there's not equal level of investment. If we think about organizations, for example, it's only those who are at senior management who are actually sent off to these courses on emotional intelligence, and then, fostering some sort of mindset or understanding about these concepts. But where does that leave everybody else, in that organization? And organizations will obviously say yes, but they provide support to the employees because they've got, the wellness benefits, and employees can tap into that. They've got access to therapists and so on and so forth. But I think that that still doesn't go down to the crux of the matter. It doesn't really address the real problem in people actually don't understand themselves. So if people have a lack of understanding within themselves, they don't even know what help they're seeking. To be very honest, I think that people are sort of left stabbing in the dark. And I think anybody who's put their hand up for mental health support has probably found themselves in that boat, where they've probably been referred to, traditional routes, psychologists or psychiatrists, therapists, whatever it's going to be. Whereas that doesn't necessarily guarantee that that is actually the correct remedial or restorative practice that that individual actually needs to overcome the psychological barrier towards their mental health. So, yeah, I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But until that work is done, our job is just to try and understand people as much as we can. But in order to understand people, we need to understand ourselves. And in order to understand ourselves, we need to be grounded in mindfulness. There is no other practice where you will actually begin to understand yourself and your body and your own emotions other than mindfulness. And this is why I'm a huge advocate for mindfulness, because again, when people are talking mental health, but mental health is the fountain from which all other aspects of your health are actually flowing from. So I think it's important to realize that and acknowledge that. And we will never get to one universal definition for mental health because of the mind controls the whole body. Interestingly for me, when I was doing a first aid course, doctors will declare a patient brain dead, but the heart is still beating. And what exactly is telling the heart to beat? It's actually the brain. So for as long as we still have this ambiguity, as when it comes to science and anything that's pseudoscience or beyond the science, as we'd like to call it in holistic wellness, I think that we should just all be kind, and we should just all look inwards and do that internal work. Um, of course, we're making great strides as people to better understand these issues and to accommodate people even in the workplace. But I think that there's still a long way to go. And we need to just all take responsibility for ourselves and play our part in understanding ourselves, in managing our own emotions, so that we're not bleeding over the people that we meet, because we will be doing these things unconsciously. And as I say, schools and organizations, they don't really have the systems in place to teach people. And the responsibility and the onus does rest on schools and organizations, because this is where people actually spend the majority of their time. We cannot just say that that is something that the parents should be teaching, because kids are not with their parents, and then once they become adults, they go to work, they're under the custodianship of that organization. So this is why organizations and schools actually have a bigger role to play. And if these things can be embedded into the schooling system and into the workplace systems, this is how society will be able to transform itself. And more people being mindful, equals a better ecosystem, because people will be aware of how their actions may be impacting other people. Even if we think about it at a decision maker level, better decision will be made because no bias will be applied. People will be making certain decisions mindfully, um, and that's ultimately, where we need to get to. So if you're still here, my breathwork exercise is coming up next. I think that it's a good starting point for anybody looking to start having a mindfulness practice. A mindfulness practice does start with quietening the mind, and that's something that can be challenging in the world that we live in today because it's a very noisy place. But as I said, we all need to take responsibility for ourselves. We cannot be expecting anybody to do it for us. But equally, as a collective, we do need to keep applying pressure on these institutions to have some sort of formal structures in place to aid the development of mental and emotional intelligence. We're at that part of the video now where we'll be doing a breath work exercise. We'll be doing the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which is a nice and easy one. I really like this one because it's one that you can do anywhere. So I'm going to explain it, and then I'll hold the space for us just to do maybe 3 rounds of it together. So basically what we'll do is inhale for 4 breaths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold our breath for the count of 7 breaths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then exhale for 8 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to explain it again just so that we're all on the same page. So we're going to inhale for the count of 4 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold our breaths for the count of 7 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then exhale for 8 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I hope that you've got it, but anyway, you can always rewind to understand, but I'm going to now hold the space so that we can go through some of this breathing together. So wherever you are, find a nice, comfortable seated position and just begin to relax. Make sure that your shoulders are nice and relaxed. You can have your hands just on your legs or resting at the sides of you. You can turn your palms up to face the sky. You can keep them in your lap, whatever feels comfortable for you. You can just do that. And now all I want you to do is soften your gaze, maybe just focus on a single point and just begin to engage your breath. Just inhale and exhale. And now with every inhale and every exhale, you just want to begin to deepen the breath. Trying to fill up as much as you can. And just drawing your awareness to the breath. And then when you're ready, you can just begin to soften your gaze. If you feel comfortable, you can gently just close the eyes. And we'll just begin our inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bonus if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now inhaling and exhaling, going back to your normal breath. And just observing how you feel. Hopefully you feel a bit lighter. Hopefully you've managed to declutter something in your mind. And now wherever your gaze is, maybe the eyes are closed, just begin to blink the eyes gently, opening the eyes, coming back to the body. If I was resting on, my gaze was at a single point, now I'm back with you guys here on the camera. And I hope that you've enjoyed that 4-7-8 breathing technique. And like I said, it's here for you whenever you need it. If you're feeling anxious, nervous, or overwhelmed, come back to this video, find a comfortable seated position, and just follow my guidance and just focus on the breath. Thank you so much for listening to my video. It's always much appreciated. Please do like or comment. That lets me know that it's exactly what you guys want to hear from me. But anyway, I hope you all take care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next one. Namaste.